So what are the top things that really you want to look at that will increase the value of your land without you really having to do anything? My name is Josh Bryan. I'm with Bryan Haggard Land Group. We specialize in land sales and acquisitions throughout the DFW market. Please like, subscribe, leave a comment, let us know how we're doing. We love to provide as much content to you guys as possible to add value to your decision-making process, in real estate. So, the first one really is the employment. Okay, so employment it causes a huge ripple effect throughout the market. So, for instance, you probably heard about major corporations moving into, DFW. TI just committed, $30 billion to expand their facility in Sherman. That has caused a huge ripple effect of land values surrounding that 75 corridor. West Plano was the same way with Toyota. Down in Taylor in the Austin MSA, Samsung announced that they're going to be, moving their facility down there. That has skyrocketed, values around within close proximity of that headquarters. Elon Musk over off the 130 corridor. Over in Austin, we have some people looking down there. There was no utilities. He bought an immense amount of land, and there's a ton of infrastructure going in there, and that's increased the value of everything around that. And that kind of leads me to my second point. When you have employment, you have all these employees, 3,000, 5,000 employees moving to an area, you're going to need housing, right? So that spawns a lot of residential development. So the builders start looking, and the value of the land goes up when that starts happening. So you start to get these master plan communities and these subdivisions and these multifamily developers coming in and start sniffing around a site, because now there's a lack of housing for the population boom that's going to happen once that construction's done on the employment center. So that raises the value because the demand goes up, right? So once you start seeing things go vertical or even horizontal, you start to see dirt moving. So I've always said this: activity always breeds activity. It's just kind of something to live by. When you start to see dirt moving, you can really start sniffing around to try to figure out what's going on around it. So it's good to pay attention to what subdivisions are coming around your site. Thirdly, zoning. So this is something, if your property's in ag, it's not necessarily zoned. You want to look at the future land use map, and I've said this in videos before, to try to figure out what the city has in mind for your tract. Now, future land use plans and comprehensive plans aren't necessarily set in stone, but it's good to talk with the city to figure out what zoning your property could go through. Now, if it's the highest and best use is a mixed use, with multifamily, built for rent, commercial on the frontage, maybe some pad sites, things like that. Oftentimes it's good to get a developer to come in and buy the piece of property from you at a premium price, but they take care of all the zoning for you and go through the process with their civil engineer and spend the money up front, because it can be rather expensive. But it's good to know kind of what the city has in mind for your tract and have those, initial dialogue with the planning department. That's a good resource. Always go up to the city and kind of figure out what their thoughts are for, your tract and maybe the surrounding tracts around you. My fourth and final point, really, and I've said this before, is roadways and utilities. I can't emphasize enough, you need access. Look at the master thoroughfare plan. If there's plans for, construction next to your site, widening a road, unlocking an entire area of a submarket where it's accessible to a highway. Utilities is a huge one. We're having problems down in Austin right now because of sewer. Sewer wasn't brought along a lot of the roadways. So if you can find a site with water and sewer that's within a draggable distance, let's just call it a couple hundred feet, it makes life a lot easier for a developer, so they can pay more for the land and they don't have to pay for dragging utilities several miles from another site because the city didn't do it. If utilities are being brought and somebody else is paying for it, like the city, developers are actually willing to come in and pay a higher price because it saves time on the development. Instead of having to take 6 months to drag the utilities all the way to the site, now they're 6 months ahead, and they can start going vertical a lot quicker to be able to get their returns a little faster, right? So just a couple things to look at without even having to touch your property. Make sure you understand the market fundamentals of everything surrounding you. It's always good to hire and stay in contact with a land professional. kind of sniff out things with the city. The Economic Development Department, it's a really good resource for companies moving in, who's sniffing around certain sites, subdivision, master plan development, what home builders are looking to acquire, lots in the area and things like that. So if you ever need anything with land, please feel free to give me a call. Holler at us at any time. We try to add value as much as we can. And hope all is well, guys. Take care.